Hello, thank you for watching. You may know that in the U.S., the federal government passes on most of the responsibility for education to the various states. But have you ever wondered how the states handle this huge responsibility? In a state as large as Texas, it takes a lot of different government entities to make education work. In this video, we're going to cover each of these entities and what they do. It might be helpful to watch our previous video, You Live in a Precinct, before this one, if you're unclear on some of the terminology. First, we're going to start with the local school districts. You probably know these as independent school districts, or ISDs. Your school district is determined by what precinct you live in. The people in charge of each school district are called school board members or trustees. They are elected to these positions in the spring or sometimes November of each year. It depends on the size of the district. School districts are responsible for funding, resources, and procedures for the schools in their jurisdiction. They decide things like where the money and materials for education go, when and where new schools are created, and when schools are closed. If you're curious to know more, school board meetings are open to the public. School district and board websites usually have information about agendas and times of school board meetings, or check the website for your county. Sometimes these districts get help from an entity known as the County Education Department, or County Department of Education. Just like the local school districts, the board members or trustees of this entity are also elected. In Harris County, they are voted on in November, and they are elected to 6-year terms. The County Department of Education provides additional services for all of the ISDs within the county. They give the smaller school districts the help they might not get anywhere else, and allow them to lower education costs by buying materials and services as a group. All county departments of education must follow the rules of the Texas Education Code, linked below. Check online to see when and where your county's Department of Education meetings are held. Next, the State Board of Education, or SBOE, sets policies and standards for Texas public schools. The responsibilities of the SBOE include but are not limited to setting curriculum standards, overseeing the Texas Permanent School Fund, and approving or vetoing recommended new charter schools. The board is made up of 15 SBOE members elected in November of even number years, except for one member who is appointed by the governor. As a result, each member represents about 1.8 million Texans. Have you ever wanted to attend a State Board of Education meeting? The SBOE is required to meet at least quarterly. Meetings are held in the William B. Travis State Office Building, addressed in the links below, which also houses the Texas Education Agency, which we'll be discussing next. Most, but not all, SBOE meetings are open to the public. Anyone who wants to testify in front of the board can submit a public testimony registration form. The Texas Education Agency is the state agency that oversees both primary and secondary public education in the state of Texas. It helps deliver education to more than 5 million students. The TEA helps the SBOE to guide and monitor activities and programs related to public education in Texas. The responsibilities of the TEA include, but are not limited to, administering the distribution of state and federal funding to public schools, providing support to the SBOE in the development of statewide curriculum, and monitoring for compliance with certain federal and state guidelines. The TEA operational costs are supported by both state and federal funds. The TEA periodically produces a strategic plan and a customer satisfaction survey to help determine if it's carrying out its duties appropriately. Thank you so much for listening to this brief overview of the entities that make up the primary education system in Texas. If you're curious to know more, there will be information in the description below. Please be sure to comment any topics you'd like us to cover next. Thank you.